How is knowledge translated in the greater community? Because individuals and groups in the greater community who are advancing in knowledge often have to remain secretly hidden in their own respective worlds, knowledge is transferred through very mysterious means. This brings into play the involvement of the unseen ones. Because these individuals and groups rarely have direct access to one another and cannot send messages or information over normal channels, their insights and their accomplishments must be translated and transferred through spiritual agents whom we call the unseen ones. The unseen ones have made it possible for the greater community way of knowledge to be presented in the world. No one brought this material here by physical means. No one transmitted it through mechanical devices. It was given to the unseen ones and then transferred to the world that you live in. It has been translated in such a way that you and your race would be able to understand it and apply it in order for it to have the utmost meaning and relevance within your own world. God works through mysterious means. This is what preserves the sanctity and purity of the way of knowledge, particularly as it is being introduced into a new world. Here it must be given in as pure a form as possible. Here the very essence of the way of knowledge itself is separated from everything that has been added onto it, from wherever it has been previously and from wherever it exists at this moment. This gives you, the recipient, for whom this teaching is being introduced, the greatest possibility and the greatest encouragement for success. As the Creator works mysteriously in your world, so the Creator works mysteriously throughout the greater community. Knowledge is not welcome or known here in the world, and it is rarely welcome or known in the greater community, except by a few individuals and a few very hidden and advanced societies. Therefore, it must find a different means of travel between worlds. This accounts for its universal application. This accounts for the fact that the Creator is everywhere working to reclaim the separated through knowledge. The greater community way of knowledge is being translated into many worlds and has been translated into many worlds in the past. The translation involves putting its teaching and preparation into a form and a context with examples relevant to each particular world, not only to that world's language and culture, but to its specific needs at the time. The introduction of the greater community way of knowledge is given when a world has reached a point where the teaching is greatly needed and where there is a possibility that it can be received, learned and applied. This is determined by the unseen ones, for no individuals in any world could determine their world's readiness for the greater community way of knowledge. It is true in the history of your world that certain individuals have been ready for a teaching such as this. However, their numbers have not been sufficient, their environmental conditions have not been conducive, and their world problems have not been demanding enough to call for such a teaching to be given to your world. But because your world is now preparing to emerge into the greater community of worlds, a greater process of evolution and development which is beyond the awareness of most people in the world today, and because of the evidence of growing global problems and dilemmas, this has called for a greater wisdom to be given to the world. This also calls forth the greater wisdom that is inherent within you and within the knowledge that you carry even at this moment. Timing is essential here. The conditions must be right. Minds must be ready, and the environment must require such a preparation and teaching to be given. It is the evolution of all worlds where intelligent life has been seeded that at some point they will emerge into the greater community. How this happens varies from world to world. However, in almost all cases it involves greater community forces entering into these worlds. In other words, these worlds are discovered before their races discover anyone else. This sets into motion a great process of change and evolutionary development. This calls for a greater wisdom and a greater preparation to be given to these worlds. It is for the unseen ones to determine when, where and how this is to be done and how the translation is to be made. Here it is essential for at least some of the unseen ones involved to have had their origin in the world to which the teaching is being introduced. It is their experience, then, born of their participation over a long period of time in the world that is destined to receive such a teaching, that will enable the translation to occur. The translation of the greater community way of knowledge into your world is made possible because the unseen ones who have lived in your world and are familiar with its customs, its communication, its nature and its problems are able to bring a universal teaching within the scope of human reach and need. This translation process is quite essential, for without it you would not be able to utilize this teaching and apply it, either within the context of the simple and mundane problems of your life, or within the context of the greater problems that overshadow humanity's development now. Solving problems within both of these contexts is an important emphasis, because if you cannot apply knowledge in simple and direct matters within the sphere of your own activities, then you will not be able to apply it or learn it in the greater issues and challenges that you face. That is why in learning a greater community way of knowledge, or in learning any teaching that leads you to knowledge, you must start with the basic application first. If you cannot apply it to your health, to your relationships, to your financial requirements, and to other survival necessities, then the possibility for you to address the greater issues of your life will be very, very limited. Therefore, the translation of a greater community way of knowledge must be given in such a way that you can use it and apply it in solving the simple practical difficulties that you face. It must be applicable so that anyone from any culture in the world to which it is given can use it effectively. Here it must bypass local customs, rituals, religious orientations, habits, beliefs, language barriers and so forth. It must be so pure and so essential that it can be used by anyone from any part of the world to which it is given who is ready to receive it, to learn it and to apply it. Language always has its limitations. The greater community way of knowledge is being given in the English tongue because the English language will over time become the international language of your world. It will not be the only language, but it will be the international language. And that is why this teaching is being given in this tongue. In time, it will be translated into other languages by its advanced students. The translation process continues. It is a translation process to bring the greater community way of knowledge into your world, and it is a translation process to introduce it around your world into different cultures. The essential emphasis here is that the way of knowledge can be learned and applied by those who need it in whatever culture it is introduced. Regardless of the language difficulties involved, knowledge is inherent in each person. There is nothing in the world that can prepare you for the greater community. You must have a preparation from beyond the world because you do not know what you are preparing for, you do not know how to prepare, and you do not understand the difficulties, challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. It is for this reason that the Creator has given you a new understanding and a new challenge in learning. To give the human race the possibility to meet its current needs and to prepare for its remarkable future in the greater community. A greater community way of knowledge is being given because it is needed and essential now. At first, the greater community way of knowledge would be learned by a few individuals here and there. It will not be learned by everyone because everyone is not ready to learn it. But for those individuals who are ready and who can courageously follow its steps, the greater community way of knowledge will enable them to gain a greater understanding, perspective and ability in life. This, then, can be translated to other people through their contribution, communications, efforts, relationships and so forth. Thus, the translation process continues through many different levels of interaction. It is translated into the world, and it is translated within the world. And through those who can study and learn it patiently and effectively, the translation of knowledge will continue because their efforts, their actions and their demonstrations in life will provide inspiration, insight and encouragement for those with whom they come in contact. The impact of their activities will be lasting and resonating. This is the evidence of knowledge. One act or one event can resonate through many minds who were not present at the original act or event. You have seen this in the development and continuance of the world's religions, and you will see it in the development and continuance of a greater community way of knowledge, if it can be successfully learned and initiated here. The initiation process is entirely natural, but it can be obstructed. It can be thwarted. That is why, at this time, as the first generation of human beings attempt to learn a greater community way of knowledge and to understand greater community spirituality,